Lieutenant Colonel Amanda Pierce adjusted her flight helmet, the cockpit of her F-15E Strike Eagle humming with the low thrum of idling engines. Stationed at Nellis Air Force Base, she was one of 12 pilots on standby for Operation Eclipse, a classified mission rumored to involve a high-stakes reconnaissance over contested airspace. The year was 1998, and tensions simmered in the Middle East. Amanda, a seasoned pilot with a reputation for precision, felt the weight of the moment. Her squadron, the 494th Fighter Squadron, had trained for months, but the mission brief was maddeningly vague. Fly when commanded, observe and report. No engagement unless absolutely necessary. The injustice began with Colonel Richard Hayes, the base's operations commander. Hayes, a man with a penchant for favoritism, had a history of sidelining capable pilots for personal grudges. Amanda had crossed him years ago by questioning a flawed training protocol during a debrief. Since then, Hayes had passed her over for promotions, favoring less experienced pilots like Captain Derek Walsh, his protege. Walsh, cocky and inexperienced, was inexplicably chosen to lead the mission despite Amanda's superior flight record. The decision stung, but Amanda swallowed her pride, focusing on her jet's pre-flight checks. As the squadron waited on the tarmac, radios crackled with updates. Intelligence had spotted unusual activity near a remote desert facility, suspected chemical weapons production. Operation Eclipse was to confirm the site's purpose without escalating tensions. Amanda's gut churned. She'd seen Hayes type before, prioritizing ego over mission success. Walsh's voice came over the comms, brash and overconfident, issuing redundant orders. Amanda exchanged a glance with her weapons systems officer, Major Emily Carter, who rolled her eyes. "He's gonna get us killed," Emily muttered. The mission clock ticked down. Hayes from the control tower delayed the launch, citing new intel. Hours passed and the pilots grew restless. Amanda noticed Walsh fidgeting in his cockpit, clearly out of his depth. She reviewed her charts, memorizing the terrain's contours. Then a cryptic message from intelligence. Zero mark sighted. Amanda's heart raced. The zero mark was a code for a critical, time-sensitive target, a mobile launcher perhaps, or a high-value asset. She scanned the horizon, her instinct screaming that Hayes was stalling for his own reasons, possibly to claim credit for a last-minute strategy shift. Amanda's radio crackled again. Hayes' voice, smug and deliberate, ordered the squadron to stand down. "Walsh will take point on a revised plan tomorrow," he said. Amanda's blood boiled. Tomorrow could be too late. She glanced at her radar, spotting a faint blip, an anomaly near the target zone. Against protocol, she signaled Emily to run a passive scan. The results confirmed her suspicion. A convoy was moving, likely the zero mark. Amanda faced a choice: obey Hayes' orders and risk mission failure, or act on her instincts and face court-martial. She gripped the throttle, her decision forming as the desert sun dipped below the horizon. Amanda's fingers hovered over the throttle, her mind racing. Disobeying Colonel Hayes could end her career, but letting the zero mark slip away could cost lives. The faint blip on her radar pulsed like a heartbeat urging action. Major Emily Carter, her weapons systems officer, leaned forward, her voice low. "Mandy, that convoy's moving fast. We wait, it's gone." Amanda nodded, her jaw tight. She'd seen Hayes' ego-derail missions before, but this was different. Operation Eclipse was too critical for his games. She keyed her mic, addressing the squadron discreetly on a secondary channel. "Panther 2 to all call signs. I've got eyes on a potential zero mark, coordinates 34.6 north, 43.2 east. Confirm visual." Silence followed, then Captain Lauren Brooks, Panther 3, chimed in. "Confirmed. Looks like a mobile launcher escorted." Other pilots murmured agreement, their voices tense. Captain Derek Walsh, the designated lead, broke in, his tone sharp. "Stand down, Pierce." Hayes said we wait. Amanda's eyes narrowed. Walsh was parroting orders, blind to the stakes. Amanda weighed her options. The convoy was moving toward a civilian-heavy zone. If it was a chemical weapons launcher, delay could mean catastrophe. She thought of her brother, a Marine who died in a botched operation due to poor leadership. She wouldn't let history repeat. "Emily, prep for low-altitude recon," she whispered. Emily hesitated, then nodded, flipping switches to arm their sensors. Amanda flicked her radio to a private line with Lauren and Captain Ryan Patel, Panther 4, both of whom she trusted. "I'm going in for a closer look. Cover me, but stay dark." Lauren's voice crackled back. "You sure about this, Mandy?" Amanda's response was firm. "We lose this now, it's on us." Ryan added, "I'm with you. Let's move." She eased the throttle forward, her F-15 banking smoothly into a descent. The desert blurred below, a sea of sand and shadow. Emily fed her real-time data. The convoy included 3 trucks, one likely carrying the launcher. Amanda's heart pounded as she skimmed 500 feet above the ground, her jet's shadow dancing across dunes. The risk was insane. Hayes would crucify her, but she couldn't ignore the intel. Back at base, Hayes' voice roared over the main channel. "Pierce, what the hell are you doing? Return to formation." Amanda ignored him, focusing on the convoy. Her sensors locked onto the lead truck, capturing high-res images. Emily's voice was steady. "Got it, definitely a launcher. Sending data to Intel now." Amanda pulled up, her jet screaming into the night. Lauren and Ryan flanked her, maintaining radio silence to avoid detection. As they returned to Nellie's, Hayes was apoplectic. "You're done, Pierce," he screamed. Amanda landed, her hands steady despite the storm awaiting her. She secured the zero mark's location, but at what cost? The squadron watched in silence as she climbed from her cockpit, Hayes storming toward her, his face red with fury. Colonel Hayes' boots echoed on the tarmac as he stormed toward Amanda, his face a mask of rage. "You disobeyed a direct order, Pierce," he bellowed, jabbing a finger at her. The squadron stood frozen, their eyes darting between Amanda and the commander. She climbed down from her F-15, her flight suit damp with sweat, and met his gaze. "Sir, the zero mark was moving. We had to act." Hayes scoffed, his voice dripping with disdain. "You're not the mission lead. Walsh was." Captain Derek Walsh lingered nearby, his expression a mix of unease and smugness. Amanda's stomach churned. She knew Hayes was protecting his protege, even if it meant jeopardizing the mission. Major Emily Carter stepped forward, her voice calm but firm. "Sir, Lieutenant Colonel Pierce's call saved the mission. We've got imagery confirming the launcher's position." Hayes shot her a withering look. "You're out of line, Carter." Amanda's mind raced. She'd expected consequences, but Hayes' reaction was personal. He'd always resented her competence, her refusal to stroke his ego. Now he saw a chance to bury her. "You're grounded, Pierce," he spat, "pending a full inquiry." The words hit like a punch, but Amanda stood tall. She'd done the right thing, and the data her jet had captured proved it. As Hayes stormed off, Captain Lauren Brooks approached, her voice low. "You okay, Mandy?" Amanda nodded, though her chest tightened. "I had to do it, Lauren. That launcher could have been gone by morning." Captain Ryan Patel joined them, his dark eyes serious. "Intel's already analyzing your data. You might have just saved a lot of lives." Amanda forced a smile, but the weight of Hayes' threat lingered. In the debrief room, the atmosphere was tense. Hayes sat at the head of the table, flanked by Walsh and a few loyalists. Amanda presented her findings, her voice steady as she described the convoy's movement and the launcher's specs. The room was silent until Walsh spoke, his tone condescending. "You took a reckless risk, Pierce. We could have handled it tomorrow." Amanda's jaw clenched, but she held her tongue. Emily, however, didn't. "With respect, Captain, tomorrow would have been too late." The convoy was heading toward a populated area. Hayes slammed his hand on the table. "Enough, Pierce, you're suspended until further notice." The words stung, but Amanda noticed a flicker of doubt in the eyes of Major General Thomas Reed, the base commander who'd been observing silently. Reed was known for fairness, unlike Hayes. As the meeting ended, Reed pulled Amanda aside. "Your data's being reviewed at the Pentagon," he said quietly. "Don't say anything yet, but you may have forced our hand." Amanda nodded, hope flickering. Had her gamble paid off, or was her career truly over? She left the room, the weight of her choice heavy on her shoulders. Amanda sat in her quarters, the hum of the base a distant murmur. Her suspension meant no flying, no briefings, just endless waiting. The walls felt like they were closing in, her flight suit hanging untouched in the corner. She replayed the mission in her mind, the blip on her radar, the convoy's shadow in the desert, the gut call to act. Had she been reckless, or had Hayes in action forced her hand? Her phone buzzed, Major Emily Carter checking in. "Pentagon's buzzing about your data, Mandy," Emily said. "They're saying it's a game changer." Amanda's heart lifted, but doubt gnawed at her. Colonel Hayes had influence and his vendetta was personal. She'd seen him ruin careers before. Captain Greg Turner, a brilliant pilot, had been transferred to a desk job after questioning Hayes' tactics. Amanda refused to end up like that. She grabbed her laptop, pulling up the mission logs. The imagery her F-15 had captured was crystal clear. A mobile launcher, escorted by 2 trucks heading toward a civilian zone. She acted to protect lives, not to defy orders. The next morning, Captain Lauren Brooks knocked on her door. "You've got a meeting with General Reed," Lauren said, her eyes bright. "Rumor is Hayes is sweating." Amanda dressed carefully, her uniform crisp despite her suspension. At headquarters, Reed's office was stark, a single photo of his old F-4 Phantom on the wall. He motioned for her to sit. "Pierce, your data confirmed a chemical weapons launcher," he said. "The Pentagon's planning a strike based on your intel. But Hayes is pushing for your court-martial." Amanda's stomach dropped. "Sir, I acted because the target was moving. Waiting wasn't an option." Reed leaned back, studying her. "I know, but you broke protocol. Hayes has friends in high places." He paused, then added, "There's a way out, but it's risky. Testify at the inquiry. Lay out everything. Hayes' delays, Walsh's inexperience. I'll back you, but it'll get ugly." Amanda nodded, her resolve hardening. The inquiry was set for the next day. She spent the night preparing, reviewing mission tapes with Emily and Ryan Patel. They found inconsistencies in Hayes' orders, delays that made no tactical sense. Ryan, a tech wizard, uncovered a pattern. Hayes had stalled missions before, always when Walsh was involved, likely to inflate his protege's record. At the inquiry, Amanda faced a panel of officers, Hayes glaring from the side. She presented her case calmly, detailing the zero marks movement and Hayes' refusal to act. Emily and Lauren corroborated her story, their testimony measured but damning. Walsh fidgeted, his confidence crumbling. When Reed spoke, his voice carried weight. "Lieutenant Colonel Pierce's actions averted a crisis," he said. "The real question is why we delayed." Amanda held her breath, the room's silence deafening. Her fate and Hayes hung in the balance. The inquiry room buzzed with tension as Amanda stood before the panel, her posture rigid but her voice steady. Colonel Hayes sat to the side, his arms crossed, his glare boring into her. The panel, led by Brigadier General Clara Morgan, listened as Amanda recounted the mission. The zero marks movement, her decision to act, and the critical intel her F-15 had secured. She avoided mentioning Hayes' vendetta directly, letting the facts speak. Major Emily Carter followed, her testimony precise, confirming the launcher's trajectory toward a civilian area. Captain Lauren Brooks and Captain Ryan Patel added their accounts, emphasizing Hayes' inexplicable delays. Hayes took the stand next, his tone polished but defensive. "Lieutenant Colonel Pierce acted recklessly," he said. "Her unauthorized flight risked escalation." He painted Captain Derek Walsh as the steady hand, ready to lead a proper mission the next day. Amanda's fists clenched under the table. Walsh, when questioned, stumbled through his answers, unable to justify why he'd supported the delay. General Morgan's eyes narrowed, her skepticism clear. Major General Thomas Reed's testimony shifted the room's mood. Pierce's data prompted an immediate Pentagon response, he said. Her actions exposed a critical threat. He didn't mention Hayes directly, but his implication was clear. Someone had dropped the ball. Amanda caught a flicker of panic in Hayes' eyes. Ryan's analysis of mission logs presented as evidence showed a pattern of delays under Hayes' command, often tied to Walsh's missions. Whispers spread among the panel. After hours of deliberation, General Morgan called Amanda forward. Lieutenant Colonel Pierce, your actions saved lives, but you violated protocol. You're reinstated effective immediately with a formal reprimand. Amanda exhaled, relief flooding her. Morgan turned to Hayes. Colonel, your leadership is under review. Expect a separate investigation. Hayes' face paled, his jaw tight. Walsh shrank in his seat, his bravado gone. Back at the squadron, Amanda's return was met with quiet respect. Lauren slapped her shoulder, grinning. You're a legend, Mandy. Emily handed her a coffee, her eyes warm. Told you it'd work out. But Amanda knew the fight wasn't over. Hayes still had allies and his review could drag on. She threw herself into her duties, flying drills with renewed focus. The Pentagon's strike, based on her intel, neutralized the launcher days later, with no civilian casualties. Word spread, and Amanda's name became synonymous with guts. One evening, Ryan pulled her aside. Found something, he said, showing her an encrypted email from Hayes to a Pentagon contact, hinting at a cover-up to protect Walsh. Amanda's pulse quickened. We need to be careful, she said. Hayes won't go quietly. She decided to bide her time, knowing the email could be her ace if Hayes struck back. For now, she climbed into her F-15, the cockpit a sanctuary. The sky stretched wide, and as she soared, she felt the weight of injustice lift, if only for a moment. Amanda banked her F-15 through a training drill, the Nevada desert blurring below. Her reinstatement felt like a victory, but the formal reprimand stung, a permanent mark on her record. Still, the squadron's morale had shifted. Pilots like Captain Lauren Brooks and Captain Ryan Patel treated her with quiet admiration, while Captain Derek Walsh kept his distance, his confidence deflated since the inquiry. Colonel Hayes, though under investigation, still roamed the base, his influence lingering like a shadow. Amanda knew he wasn't done with her. In the mess hall, Major Emily Carter slid into the seat across from her, her expression serious. Mandy, scuttlebutt is Hayes is pulling strings to save his skin. Amanda nodded, unsurprised. Hayes had a knack for dodging accountability, and his Pentagon connections ran deep. Ryan's discovery of the encrypted email, Hayes hinting at a cover-up to protect Walsh, could be a game changer, but using it was risky. Leaking it without proof of intent could backfire, painting Amanda as the aggressor. She decided to focus on her work, leading her squadron through rigorous drills. Her precision in the air earned nods from even the most skeptical pilots, but Hayes' presence grated. He started micromanaging, issuing petty orders to undermine her. One day, he reassigned her to a low-priority recon mission, a clear jab. Amanda gritted her teeth and flew it flawlessly, her data so thorough it earned praise from Major General Thomas Reed himself. Off-duty, Amanda confided in Lauren over beers at a local bar. "Hayes is waiting for me to slip," she said. Lauren leaned forward, her voice low. "Then don't. Keep doing what you do best. Fly circles around Walsh and let Hayes dig his own grave." Amanda chuckled, but the weight of Hayes' vendetta pressed on her. She couldn't shake the feeling that he was planning something bigger. Back at base, Ryan approached her with news. "I cracked another email," he whispered. "Hayes is pushing for a transfer to a Pentagon desk job, probably to avoid the investigation's fallout." Amanda's eyes narrowed. If Hayes escaped, he'd take his toxic leadership elsewhere, leaving Walsh to fill his shoes. She couldn't let that happen. She met with Emily and Lauren in private, sharing the email. "We need to get this to Reed," Emily said, discreetly. Amanda hesitated. Going to Reed could escalate things beyond her control. Instead, she suggested a subtler move. Leak the email to a trusted intelligence officer who'd pass it up the chain without implicating them. Ryan handled the transfer using an anonymous channel. Days later, Reed summoned Amanda. "Pierce, someone's stirring the pot," he said, his tone unreadable. "Hayes' transfer request is on hold. His investigation been fast-tracked." Amanda kept her face neutral, her heart racing. As she left Reed's office, Hayes cornered her in the hallway. "You think you're untouchable, Pierce?" he hissed. Amanda met his gaze unflinching. "I just do my job, sir." She walked away, her resolve steeling. Hayes was cornered, but a desperate man was dangerous. She'd need to stay sharp. Amanda climbed into her F-15, the familiar hum of the engines grounding her. The past week had been a whirlwind. Colonel Hayes' investigation was gaining traction, and whispers of his impending downfall circulated the base. Her squadron's morale was high, but Amanda felt the pressure. Hayes' allies, including a few senior officers, still lingered, and she sensed their eyes on her. Captain Derek Walsh, meanwhile, had become a ghost, avoiding her and sticking to routine patrols. She wondered if he knew how deep Hayes' trouble ran. Major Emily Carter, ever vigilant, updated Amanda during a pre-flight check. "Intel's digging into Hayes' communications," she said. "Your zero-mark stunt gave them a reason to look closer." Amanda nodded, adjusting her oxygen mask. The encrypted email Ryan had found was now in the right hands, but she couldn't relax. Hayes was a survivor, and men like him didn't go down easily. That afternoon, Amanda led a training sortie, her jet slicing through the Nevada sky. Her precision drew praise from Captain Lauren Brooks, who flew wing. You're making it hard for Hayes to justify his crap, Lauren said over the comms. Amanda smirked but stayed focused. On the ground, she noticed Major General Thomas Reed observing, his expression unreadable. Was he an ally or just a neutral referee? She couldn't tell. Back at base, Ryan pulled her aside. Hayes tried to access the mission logs from Eclipse, he said. He's covering his tracks. Amanda's stomach twisted. If Hayes tampered with the logs, he could spin the narrative, maybe even pin the delay on her. She needed evidence to counter him. With Emily's help, she reviewed the original mission tapes, ensuring they were backed up securely. Ryan, ever the tech savant, set up a shadow log to track any unauthorized access. Days later, the investigation escalated. General Clara Morgan, who'd led the inquiry, called Amanda to testify again. This time, the focus was Hayes' pattern of delays across multiple missions. Amanda laid out the facts, citing specific instances where Hayes had prioritized Walsh's career over operational needs. She avoided mentioning the email, letting the anonymous leak do its work. Morgan's questions were sharp, but Amanda sensed she was building a case. As Amanda left the hearing, Hayes confronted her outside, his voice low and venomous. "You're playing a dangerous game, Pierce." She held his gaze, her voice calm. "I'm just doing my duty, sir." His eyes narrowed, but he walked away. That night, Lauren reported a rumor. Hayes was trying to rally his allies for a counterattack, possibly accusing Amanda of falsifying data. The accusation was absurd, but it could stick if he swayed the right people. Amanda met with Emily and Ryan in her quarters, mapping out their next move. "We stay clean," she said. "No leaks, no stunts. Let the evidence speak." But as she lay awake that night, the weight of Hayes' desperation pressed on her. She knew the final blow was coming, and she had to be ready. Amanda's boots crunched on the gravel outside the hangar, the dawn light casting long shadows. The base was quiet, but tension hung in the air. Colonel Hayes' investigation was nearing its climax, and rumors swirled that he was pulling every string to save himself. Amanda had heard whispers of him meeting late at night with loyalists, including a Pentagon liaison who owed him favors. Her gut told her he was planning a final move to shift blame onto her. Major Emily Carter met her at the hangar, her face grim. "Hayes tried to alter the Eclipse mission logs," she said. "Ryan caught it in time." Amanda's jaw tightened. Ryan's shadow log had worked, flagging Hayes' attempt to rewrite history. They now had proof of tampering, but presenting it without exposing their own methods was tricky. Amanda decided to pass the evidence to Major General Thomas Reed through a secure channel, letting him decide how to proceed. In the cockpit, Amanda found clarity. Leading a routine patrol, she guided her squadron with precision, her F-15s slicing through the clouds. Captain Lauren Brooks on her wing radioed, "You're making us look good, Mandy." Amanda smiled, but her mind was on Hayes. His desperation was dangerous, and she couldn't afford a misstep. Back on the ground, she noticed Captain Derek Walsh watching her from a distance, his expression unreadable. Was he still Hayes' pawn, or had he started to see the cracks in his mentor's facade? That evening, General Clara Morgan summoned Amanda to a closed-door meeting. "We've got evidence of Hayes' tampering," Morgan said, her tone clipped. "Your name came up as a potential whistleblower. Care to explain?" Amanda's heart raced, but she kept her cool. "Ma'am, I've only reported what I saw during Eclipse. The mission logs speak for themselves." Morgan studied her, then nodded. "Keep it that way, Pierce." The next day, the base buzzed with news. Hayes was suspended pending a formal hearing. Amanda felt a flicker of relief, but it was short-lived. Ryan pulled her aside, his voice low. "Hayes is spreading a rumor that you hacked the logs to frame him." Amanda's blood ran cold. It was a desperate lie, but it could gain traction if his allies pushed it. She needed to clear her name without dragging Ryan or Emily into the mess. With Lauren's help, Amanda crafted a detailed report of her actions during Operation Eclipse, emphasizing the untouched mission tapes. She submitted it to Reed, who assured her it would be reviewed. As she left his office, she caught sight of Hayes in the distance, his face haggard but defiant. He was cornered, but men like him fought hardest when backed against a wall. Amanda returned to her quarters, her mind racing. The evidence was on her side, but Hayes' influence lingered. She needed one final piece to bury him, something undeniable. As she sat at her desk, Ryan texted her, "Found something big, meet me tonight." Her pulse quickened. The endgame was near. Amanda met Ryan in a quiet corner of the base's maintenance hangar, the smell of jet fuel heavy in the air. He handed her a flash drive, his voice hushed. Hayes sent another email to his Pentagon contact, admitting he delayed Eclipse to manage optics for Walsh. Amanda's eyes widened. This was the smoking gun, a confession of deliberate sabotage. But using it meant exposing their surveillance of Hayes' communications, a gray area that could backfire. "We need to be surgical," she said. "Pass it to Reed anonymously." The next morning, Amanda focused on her squadron, leading a high-altitude drill with Captain Lauren Brooks and Major Emily Carter. Her F-15 felt like an extension of herself, the sky a refuge from the base's politics. But the weight of Hayes' actions lingered. She knew he'd try to spin the narrative, maybe even drag Walsh down with him. Captain Derek Walsh, meanwhile, had been reassigned to desk duty. His career stalled as Hayes' investigation deepened. Back at base, Amanda noticed a shift. Pilots who'd once avoided her now nodded in respect. Word of her role in exposing Hayes had spread, though she'd kept her involvement quiet. Major General Thomas Reed called her to his office. "Pierce, an anonymous source delivered damning evidence against Hayes," he said, his eyes sharp. "He's facing charges of misconduct and obstruction. You wouldn't know anything about that, would you?" Amanda met his gaze, her face neutral. "No, sir, I just fly my missions." Reed dismissed her, but his tone suggested he knew more than he let on. As Amanda left, she overheard two officers discussing Hayes' downfall. The Pentagon had frozen his transfer, and his allies were distancing themselves. The email had done its job, but Amanda wasn't celebrating yet. Hayes had one last card to play, and she needed to stay vigilant. That evening, Lauren invited her to the officers' club where Emily and Ryan joined them. "To justice," Lauren toasted, raising her glass. Amanda smiled, but her mind was on Walsh. He'd been complicit in Hayes' schemes, yet she felt a pang of sympathy. He was young, ambitious, and had trusted the wrong mentor. She decided to reach out, leaving a note on his desk. "Learn from this. Fly better." The next day, General Clara Morgan announced Hayes' formal charges. The base exhaled, the shadow of his influence lifting. Amanda's reprimand remained on her record, but Reed hinted at a possible review. As she climbed into her F-15 for a night patrol, the stars above Nellie's felt brighter. She exposed an injustice, protected lives, and kept her integrity. The fight had cost her, but the sky was hers again. Days later, Ryan reported that Hayes had resigned, his career in ruins. Amanda nodded, feeling no joy, only closure. She banked her jet over the desert, the horizon endless. Whatever came next, she was ready. Amanda guided her F-15 through a dawn patrol, the Nevada sky painted in hues of pink and gold. The base was quieter now, the storm of Colonel Hayes' downfall settling. His resignation had sent ripples through Nellie's, and Captain Derek Walsh was under scrutiny, his role as Hayes' protege tarnishing his record. Amanda felt no satisfaction in their ruin, only a resolve to keep her squadron strong. Her reprimand still stung, but Major General Thomas Reed had promised a review, hinting at a chance to clear her name. In the briefing room, Amanda led her team through a new mission, a joint exercise with a NATO squadron. Major Emily Carter, ever reliable, handled logistics, while Captain Lauren Brooks cracked jokes to lighten the mood. Captain Ryan Patel, now a trusted ally, had taken over mission data security, ensuring no one could tamper with their logs again. The squadron's trust in Amanda was unshakable, a quiet victory over Hayes' attempts to undermine her. Off-duty, Amanda reflected on the past weeks. Operation Eclipse had been a turning point, not just for the mission but for her career. She'd faced down a corrupt leader, risked everything, and come out stronger. Yet Hayes' allies still lingered, and she knew her actions had made enemies. At the officers' club, Lauren raised a glass. "To surviving the snake pit," she said. Amanda laughed, but her eyes scanned the room, wary of lingering grudges. The next day, Walsh approached her outside the hangar, his face drawn. "I was wrong to follow Hayes," he said, his voice low. "I didn't see it." Amanda studied him, seeing a flicker of sincerity. "Learn to trust your own judgment, Derek," she replied. "You're a good pilot. Don't waste it." Walsh nodded, walking away with a weight lifted. Amanda hoped he'd grow from it, but her focus was on her team. General Clara Morgan called Amanda for a final meeting. Your reprimand been downgraded to a note of caution, Morgan said. The Pentagon values your work on Eclipse. Amanda exhaled, relief washing over her. The note was a small blemish, but it wouldn't derail her career. Morgan added, "You've got a shot at a promotion soon. Don't screw it up." Amanda smiled, promising herself she'd keep flying straight. As she prepped for the NATO exercise, Emily handed her a mission brief. "We're leading this one, Mandy. Show Em how it's done." Amanda nodded, climbing into her F-15. The cockpit was her sanctuary, the sky her freedom. As she took off, her jet roaring into the clouds, she felt the weight of the past lift. She'd faced injustice, outmaneuvered a vindictive commander, and protected her squadron's honor. The zero mark was gone, Hayes was gone, and Amanda was still here, soaring. The future was uncertain, but the controls were in her hands, and that was enough. She banked left, the horizon calling, ready for whatever came next.